Good day. So I've been recently watching another YouTuber talk about the Great Awakening and some of the events that are happening around these things, like all the solar events. Like there's the planet parade, and there's all these solar storms, solar flares. I was listening to him and he was telling me about how there was really big ones in a lot of you out there might have felt it too, is some intense energy in December 2020 when we went into the age of Aquarius. There was some big solar flares hit in December, and so we were hit with some pretty heavy radiation then, and we were hit with another pretty good one this year in March. And what I realized in both those times, I had a lot of downloads, in my meditations, of all these ideas and all these like premonitions, and it's like there's a very active energy from the universe in those times. And a lot of people during solar flares, they can get like anxious and have trouble sleeping. There's a lot of, and I believe that can happen if you're not intentional about, how you experience that energy. So I realized, well, then if maybe we should be kind of watching for these big sunspots that are potentials for big solar flares, and then be ready for taking a day, and when the solar storms hit, is to spend some time in nature and meditate and use that for downloads, because if you are just around town and you're at work and you have to be taking care of the kids, and you have all this like intense energy coming from, and you're not able to put some intent or take some time to find those ideas, or really circle the ideas and find them, and that takes time in silence, and it takes some writing or recording a video or whatever you can do to get that knowledge out. And this is part of that, the great remembering, where you're remembering this ancient knowledge and this ancient wisdom, and these solar events. And even around full moons, like there's reasons why we have so much energy around there. There's times where we should take advantage of those energies and use them strategically, and also avoid these anxieties and these sleep problems and stuff, because when you take something and you make it conscious, you know how to deal with it. If you don't really understand why it's happening, it's kind of like an anxiety disorder. If you have so many anxieties, you can't really point at why you're anxious all the time or what's making you anxious. But if you're like, hey, it's solar storm is happening, oh, no wonder I should be out camping, or or I should be meditating, or I should be writing, I should be using this, utilizing this time, So what's exciting right now is there's a solar storm, that a potential for when there's a sunspot that's pointing towards Earth right now, and it's 3 times the size of Earth, or maybe it's 4 times now, and it's growing, and it's pointing directly at Earth. And so if it goes off, and like a lot of people are expecting a very large, and we've been hearing a lot of people talking about like visions of how these huge aurora borealises that wrap around the Earth, and the giant light shows. And that's actually what would happen if you got hit by the big enough solar storm. That's actually what it does. But some of these big events, you can see the northern lights coming way down into the United States, and that's how much like radiation is hitting the Earth. There's a lot of people worried about what will happen if we do get hit with something too big, now that our lives are so connected by our mobiles and by everything is electrical, and if it shuts down, everything shuts down, like the food systems, our water, everything, right? So we have to kind of think about this. If this is going to be an event that's going to happen, then you want to be ready, and that's in any way you can. Like have extra food at your house, and have gas and propane, things that you're gonna need if things go to hell. And it sounds like, oh, doomsday prepper. Well, we are in times where it's very unsure times, and people can call preppers like have that must be they're anxious. It's an anxiety disorder if they're prepping. Well, no. If you see a threat coming in the future and you find a way to mitigate it, that's actually a healthy way to deal with your life, right? And as you see things coming, because that's what also comes in these premonitions, is you can start to see things coming, and you start to see patterns, and you start to see the stuff. You have a chance to get ahead of it so that when it happens, it doesn't destroy you, or it doesn't keep you up at night thinking about what will happen if it does happen, right? So it's about mitigating those fears that I talked about in the last video. So, I look forward to full moons. I guess if things are not going so well in my life, then they can be intense, because it can take an issue and make it much worse, or just put magnifying glasses on certain parts, and that's kind of that's why I think also there's like a stillness in the winter solstice, and I always look forward to kind of the colder full moons and the stillness, and there's a kind of magic in that. There's you're kind of have sensory overload in the summer being outside. There's things happening everywhere. That's there's a crisp and stillness that seems to be great for I guess downloads, meditating ideas. It's like the best. It's like a great time to hibernate and be inside. The winter is a good time to be internal and learn and remember and write and do music and all these things. And then summertime, it's time to be outside and be more extroverted. And that's, I think, if we live like that more, we're gonna have less issues with like our moods, because there's a natural flow to the year, and when we're working these jobs that make us take away the natural flow and make us have to work the same amount and do the same things in the depth of the winter as we do in the middle of the summer, then there's never a downtime, but there's always just like a consistent time, and I think we have to be more natural in our to connect to that. You kind of want to breathe the energy of the earth in a way, or like walk the flow of the earth, because that's another way to connect to that, to God, as far as I'm concerned. The more that you're walking in a time built by the Babylon, or by a system that you don't want to be in, the more you're going to be living outside of your center, Well, I hope everyone's having a lovely summer, and I hope people just, take the time for themselves to go inwards, if not once a day, like try to do it once a week or something, but it really does make a difference and really helps center those feelings that are actually ideas waiting to come out. You need the stillness to take those feelings and turn them into ideas, or take those feelings and turn them into an understanding. Much love.